Do you think Mr. Fantastic and the Thing have ever shown each other like their dicks? Like, yeah,
Oh,
what does yours look like after the cosmic shit? Like, maybe Johnny Storm gets in there. He says, "Flame on." I don't know. Maybe.
That's disgusting.
Monica, what are you doing?
I'm just making an apocalypse.
I've actually had that at Applebee's.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of the Maganda Forever podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Vince.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Monica.
And we will be talking about episodes 2 and 3 of Loki. What do you guys think?
I don't even remember what happened in 2. Was that the one when he
We'll go
escaped
into
with
it.
the other Loki?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
the one,
We'll
right?
go into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. I kind of remember it.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm really digging the show, dude.
I
gotta
am
say,
too.
I gotta say it's good,
Really?
but I feel like we're already halfway through, and the third episode was kind of like filler to me. It felt filler.
Yeah. The action didn't really happen until towards the end.
I'm starting to get
Yeah.
another Falcon and Winter Soldier vibe, where like
it's
there
all gonna
should be-
happen.
There should be no fat in a 6-episode series,
Yeah.
but
That's true.
episode 3 felt like I started to get those Smallville vibes, where like this is a filler episode.
I like some of the
get it.
nuances of how they're building the story, though. Like some of the stuff that the writers did is very clever.
Yeah.
So
That's the
let's
thing
get
about
into
the short episodes. Like, I really wish that they made it, at least 8 or something like that. Because I think that was WandaVision, right? They are 8 episodes.
9.
Around
9,
9.
yeah.
But
Okay.
even then, they had something to do in each episode. I feel like the 6-episode count wouldn't be such a big deal if they moved the story along better.
I think because they try to flesh out all the characters so much that like they want to lend enough.
That's definitely what episode
To
3
them?
was focused on.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah,
give you more
yeah,
light
yeah.
on the variant Loki, the other variant Loki. That's
Yeah.
But I feel like I didn't get much out of it. But it's still enjoyable. It was still
Yeah.
enjoyable. There's still some good moments, and
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't know. I just felt like it was
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right.
Okay, let's get into it. At the end of episode 1, Loki had that whole come to Jesus moment, come to Odin moment, when he saw the rest of his timeline, saw the fates of his family, his loved ones, and then saw his fate. And it's kind of like, what is my glorious purpose? So now he's working for the TVA. Episode 2 starts out where he's doing training with Miss Minutes, which I thought was kind of funny. And it's just teaching
That
him
was
like
cool.
all about the timeline. And he was at Agent Mobius's desk, just trying to learn like what they're doing there. And Mobius has to petition with the judge to, oh no, this is after, never mind. Can I restart? I messed up.
That's fine. We get the gist.
Okay. So yeah, Mobius is still trying to get variant Loki to, like our main Loki, to help him find the other guy. There is a disturbance at a Renaissance fair in the 80s, I think, 70s or 80s.
Yeah. Which is kind of weird, but I mean, I guess it's because they whatchamacallit, they replicate kind of what happened in the Renaissance. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. I was confused based on the year and then what they were doing.
You thought it was really in like the 1700s?
The Renaissance.
Yeah, dude, that's what I thought, dude. I was like, did they get the dates wrong? Like,
And the lady was like, some
lady was
people
like,
need this, you know. You're not in character. Yeah, so there's another disturbance. They dispatch a team, and the variant Loki ends up hypnotizing one of the agents, like the strike team leader, and that agent takes out her whole team, and then
that was cool.
that Loki disappears with the agent. That's the first time that she actually takes, or they actually take a captive. So Mobius and Loki, and do you remember the agent that captured Loki in the first place? What her name is?
Rhonda. She looks like a
it
Rhonda.
was like
or Letitia. I don't know.
Jaquanda. It was like a number. It was
Yeah.
something like 19 or something.
Yeah, the only ones who have a name so far are Judge Renslayer, Agent Mobius, and then Variant Loki. But basically, this is the first time that they take our Variant Loki into the field to track the one that they reveal is killing all of their agents. And during the prep for this mission to investigate the Renaissance Fair, they show like the different Lokis, and you find out that this is not the first time they've pruned a Loki. So they're like, this variant cool. Has escaped from the timeline multiple times, and their powers are always different. They're never exactly the same, but they kind of think similarly. So that's where Agent Mobius is going for with keeping this Loki in check, where it's like, you can lend us some insight to how we can catch the killer.
There was a lot of like, did you guys kind of see the differences? Like one of them was like a Tour de Loki, like he was like a biker.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. There was like a hella buff one, like a Hulk kind of looking Loki. I don't know if he was.
There's one that was like different species looking one. There was a few that looked human, but like you said, there was like a biker or like different variation. But all of them kind of looked similar. Like they all had the horns and the green and the.
They should have had all those different like species and body types, but it should have been Tom Hiddleston's face on all of them.
This ain't Perfect Dark, dude. Customizing your character.
That'd be great.
Jackie Chan head on the girl's body. Oh, that was my character.
I was the alien. But anyway, so so we find out all of that, and then Loki even says like, oh, your perception of the Loki's powers is not entirely correct, and he's like already teaching them some things, giving it away without meaning to give it away, because just he keeps talking. So they go to investigate the Renaissance Fair. Loki keeps saying like, oh no, you don't want to do that, there's an ambush outside, and like we eventually find out that he's stalling for time, and Mobius is like, see that, like, I already learned something from you. Loki likes to talk. Like, so that's when he has to go visit Judge Renslayer, and like, I know he messed up this investigation part, but like, let me keep him in the field. Don't prune him yet, because I think that I can really learn more from him. And we really see more of like Renslayer's office. Like you see that she has like a prune stick and like an old helmet, and like basically it looks like she worked from the bottom of the TVA up to the judge. And I think the judge is the only one who really sees or interacts with the timekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
So she finally,
sorry. One of the, when Owen Wilson talks to Renslayer, and he mentions that like there's stains from the cup.
Yeah.
You remember the part when there's like multiple, I have a theory about that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my theories is that there's multiple Mobiuses, or there has been.
Yeah, I have that feeling too.
Kill them.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Because she says those basically she gives him a glass of something, he puts it down, and then she hands him a coaster, and she's like, you need to use that. All of those rings are from you, from past visits or whatever, but all of them look kind of fresh. So I kind of believe that too, where it's like, maybe because you don't really see any other agents with names so far, other than like the guy behind the desk that checked Loki in the first time, and then the guy who like made him sign all the words he's ever said. But like for the most part, but for the most part, it's just like agents in like this agent uniform with numbers as their names. So Renslayer signs off on it. She lets Mobius take Loki away, and then he was like, you really need to work on how to find this Loki. I'm gonna basically chain you to the desk. Like he only leaves him in the library, and the librarian only gives him access to his specific timeline file. And so you just see like a montage of them like studying and trying to figure out where this Loki in the timeline could possibly be hiding. And then I really like this. This is the clever part that the writers did that I thought was well done. Loki discovers that the best place to probably hide is in an apocalypse. So where civilization is completely wiped out, He saw one for Ragnarok where what's it
that
called?
was so good.
Yeah, it said 0 variance energy detected or whatever. And then it says like how many people died, and like you think he's thinking of Asgard and like, oh, my people are dead or whatever, but he actually zeroes in on the numbers and he was like, there's 0 variance detected. Like if an apocalypse is inevitable, you could do anything and then it'll be wiped out and no one will know.
He should have He should have hid in X-Men Origins Wolverine. That movie was a fucking apocalypse. No pun intended.
Or
the better version was the unedited one that I downloaded.
If it just showed him go to that timeline and it's just Wolverine with like the CGI claws. This is a fucking apocalypse.
Or X-Men 3.
Yeah, that one too. Hide in there. Hide in all the Fox movies. Even Logan. Yep, I went there.
Oh my god! All right. That does it for this episode of Maganda Forever podcast. Everybody,
yeah.
But
so
that scene was I really like that scene because it's another showcase of Tom Hiddleston's acting. You know, he's definitely getting emotional seeing that there's no casualties and stuff, and it's just his whole planet. You know, his whole species. There's no one there. And
yeah,
so,
no survivors.
really
No. Yeah.
That was really good.
Well, wait a minute, but Asgard did have survivors. Well,
I thought that was
eventually no. I guess no, because Asgard did eventually have survivors.
I don't think it listed survivors. I think it listed the number of casualties, and then it said 0 variance energy detected. It didn't say how many people survived.
So as long as the planet dies and people escape, I don't get it. What qualifies as?
I don't know.
Because I thought the implication was that if everyone dies, then it doesn't matter because no one's affected anyways. But let's say Loki went to Asgard during Ragnarok, which some people do escape. So that would create a variance because they still get away and they're still affected by that Loki.
That's a good point because it's confusing where they said like, oh, I escaped because of the Avengers' actions. And they're like, what the Avengers did should have always happened. But then the events of Ragnarok aren't influenced by anything to do with the Avengers movies. It's a separate, like they had already escaped before the gems or the Infinity Stones came into play.
I'm just talking about purely from like the fact what they established. If you go into an apocalypse, the reason it doesn't become a branch is because everyone dies anyway, so nothing's influenced. But in Ragnarok, they cited that as an apocalypse, but people got away.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point.
I don't know. I wonder if it just triggered in his head that could have been a possibility. Not that Ragnarok. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I guess.
Yeah, because it says 0 variance power detected. I don't know. But anyway, he goes to Agent Mobius with this theory, and he ruins his lunch.
That was funny. I feel like a lot of that scene like was improv. Yeah. it's just Owen Wilson just ripping off like his reactions. That was hella funny.
But yeah, so they actually Mobius, it surprised me that he trusted him to test the theory. The two of them alone go to Pompeii. And they're like, okay, like crush this bottle or something, like do something small and see if it affects the outcome. And then Loki's like, F that, I'm gonna do something huge. And he like ran out there and was like speaking their language, freed a bunch of livestock and was like, we're from the future, you're all gonna die.
Yeah.
And then right as that happened, the volcano hit. So it was like, it proved that there was like 0 variance energy detected. So they decided to search through all of the timeline's apocalypses to see where the other variant Loki could be hiding possibly, because they have like all of these reset charges and killed a bunch of agents. They're like, what could they possibly do? And then was it Loki who found it or was it Mobius? I think it was Loki, right?
It was Loki because he cross-referenced the bubblegum with the time.
Right.
Yeah.
He asked
with apocalypses that it could have been in with that bubblegum.
Right. Yeah. Mobius said like, I just see a scared little boy, and that made him think of like the bubblegum that was left over from what we see.
Like a limited time bubblegum, and then they had to find the apocalypses that fell within that timeline. That's how they found that.
Yeah, that's how they narrowed it down. And it turns out that it was like a huge like hurricane or something way in the future at basically like a Costco, like a mega Costco.
Rocks cart or something
Rock's
like that.
cart, yeah. So it like tears down that whole city, but it has like plenty of food, plenty of like resources. So the variant Loki could just keep skipping back to that same apocalypse and just use that as a base. And like right before the apocalypse hits, just like rewind and go back again.
Wasn't there something in the comics like Roxxon?
Oh yeah,
Isn't-
it's like a oil or like energy company and like Spider-Man.
Does that have to do? Is that like a
don't know.
big thing?
I don't know.
That would make sense.
Okay, because it sounded familiar, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. So they bring a strike team in with the same characters, the first agent that apprehended Loki, that didn't trust him, Agent Mobius, and then our Loki. And they go to confront the variant, and they split up into teams. I think it's 3 teams. Mobius is originally going to go with Loki, but then the original agent said, hell no. And then they wander on this guy. And I didn't even think this, but she was like, could that be you? I was like, oh yeah, he can shapeshift. That's a valid question. So they confront him, and then he's hypnotized by the Loki, and she becomes hypnotized and starts talking for the one we're trying to catch up with. And this happens multiple times, I think 3 different times. And our Loki and that Loki have a conversation about like, what are you trying to do? Like, let's team up. I want to confront the timekeepers and become like the keeper of the timeline, basically, like Kuya called it, where it's like, oh, he sees the TVA as the new glorious purpose. Like, if they're greater than the Infinity Stones, then why not try
He's
to
gonna
get
put
to
that
them?
whole station in his gauntlets.
One of the things I didn't really like, or maybe I just didn't get, but when the other Loki, when they switched from person to person, when he was fighting the actual Loki, like Loki was kind of losing, right?
Yeah, he was
Like, but
just like
isn't
a
he-
regular dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, isn't Loki
guess-
like a god? And like,
Well, I
he's
mean-
not in the TVA, so he does have his powers.
Well,
know?
you learn from the encounter that this Loki's powers is enchantment, so we don't know how far that goes. Like maybe she can imbue them with some power, like strength or something.
Mm.
That's the way I read it. Like not only are they possessed, but they also get like some level of like boost to their
Oh, okay.
strength.
Yeah.
That was another thing that when we get into it, but like in episode 3, I was like, wait, what? Loki's
You
a
see
god,
more.
right?
Yeah.
I guess that redneck was an inhuman or like a mutant or something.
I was wondering too, well, because our Loki kept trying to make a pact with that Loki. And I was wondering if he just wasn't going hard into it just because he kept trying to like make that pact or like try to pull out more information from the other Loki. That's what I thought. Like maybe he's losing on purpose just because he's trying to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I was thinking about too, especially in the 3rd episode.
Yeah,
which we'll
and
get into.
for people who haven't seen the 2nd episode, but we kind of dropped the ball because we've been using pronouns. The variant Loki ends up being Lady Loki, or the female Loki, which I thought was
Lady Loki.
I know it's interesting because Lady Loki in the comics has the same coloration, and all of the variant Lokis that they showed that they pruned in the past have the same coloration as our Loki, black hair, dark eyes. But then this one looks more like Thor. It's blonde, light eyes, but then it has the little Loki horns and the same green costume. So it's confusing. But when she flips up the hood and she was like, it's not about you. It's not about being a Loki or anything. And then we're like, oh shit, it's a woman. That's when all of the reset charges go off, and they're all hooked up to the different like time gate things that she's been stealing from agents. And
Temp
they
pads.
just, yeah, the temp pads, thank you. But you find out that they are just dropping into all different parts of the sacred timeline, and it just makes it skyrocket. Because we find out in the beginning for Miss Minutes, as soon as a Nexus event happens, you have until a certain point where it reaches the red energy level, where you can no longer prune that branch. That is now its own path and you can't go back. So like she just sets off like hundreds of grenades or the reset charges into different timelines, and you see the TVA, they're all freaking out like, what is happening? All of these are approaching red line. And then we find the agent that she had kidnapped originally, and she was like, I gave away how to find the timekeepers. And we're like, oh shit, like they're just trying, the lady Loki is trying to just destroy the timeline and destroy the timekeepers. There's no rhyme or reason to like trying to gain power.
If the way to create a branch is to just put something anachronistic in a different timeline that it doesn't belong, did she need those reset charges? She could have just put bubblegum in all those time pads. And just dropped it in like people's hands. I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
If she had just like left something anachronistic, like that's easy enough that an agent can just go and like pick it up. Even if it's in hundreds of different areas, they can just like keep time skipping back.
They can't undo the grenade. I guess you're right.
Yeah. Because we find out that the grenade basically just eviscerates everything in that vicinity. And that's how they prune an entire branch, is they just kill everything there. And then it goes back to the regular timeline.
So do you guys think that, I know we talked about this last time. It was like a theory, but at the beginning of in episode 1, when they're watching that video about the time war, I think that was called, or maybe the
the time war. Yeah.
Do you think Lady Loki or whoever she created it, and then so like the video that they showed, that is I guess a video about the past that she created?
I don't know if
talk about.
No,
every time I hear you say, do you guys think? I always think it's going to end up as Mephisto.
Yep. He's
right
definitely
there
in there
you.
still.
I was right there with you until you didn't mention Mephisto.
It makes sense what you were saying. I don't think that this Loki is involved that far. It seems like all she wants is like death and the corruption of the timeline, whereas our Loki still wants to gain control of everything. It doesn't seem like there's really a purpose to what she's trying to do, just that she got screwed over by the timekeepers and she wants revenge. That's what I get, at least. Like, I don't think she caused the Great Time War. I think the way that Miss Minutes said it was that there already existed all of these timelines and they just kept clashing with each other. So I wonder if like it used to be a little bit more open, where like people could jump between timelines and then F things up.
It's like timelines were fighting, and then Marvel bought Fox and Sony.
And James Gunn has multiple movies.
Dude, Kevin Feige's a timekeeper, dude. He bought all the rights. He made it one timeline, dude.
He's just like... yeah, so at the end, we find out it's Lady Loki, all those grenades go off, and then she disappears through a portal, and then that's when Agent Mobius catches up to them, and he tries to get our Loki to stop, and he also goes through the same portal, trying to follow that variant, and then the episode ends. Episode 3 picks up exactly after they had gone through the portals, and it turns out that she ended up in the TVA. Loki ends up after her, and
that was dumb. It leads to an elevator. That was the big secret. That's stupid.
Well, I wonder, like, do you think that the elevator is to the
No, I think it's like a portal. It's not a real elevator. It's not going to go up floors of a building and then they're just in the, hey, come in. I'm a timekeeper. It's going to be sitting at a desk.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. It flashes back to how she got that information to begin with from the agent. And they're like, hanging out as girlfriends at a restaurant, and then they're like, we've been friends for so long, blah blah blah. I was like, what is this? Are we seeing?
She was doing an Agatha Harkness, bro.
I know. I was like, are we seeing the agent's past, or are we seeing Loki's past, like for their original timeline? And you find out that like she's manipulating the mind to be like, we've been friends so long, you can tell me anything. Like, where's the timekeepers? And like suddenly breaks into like a tense moment, and they're like, wait, what?
Dude, speaking of Agatha Harkness, did you guys think that that was her, like
Mephisto?
a younger
Oh,
version?
okay.
Oh yeah.
Younger
Do you
version?
think
Wait, what?
Mephisto- No, like when they
The
went
dre-
to the Renaissance.
Oh.
there
Oh
was that-
no.
I mean,
No.
obviously they can't get what's her name? Catherine Hahn? Is that
Yeah.
her name? Obviously they can't get her, anymore, but like you don't think that was maybe her, because she, of course, she was born years ago, but then she, like, the Renaissance is kind of similar to the timeline that she was in, and
No,
she can go back and forth, like.
I think that it was a random hippie that was just like, some people
You think
need this
so?
in their lives, respect.
You know what? It
Basically, like,
sucks.
respect the game.
It sucks
Yeah,
that they're not
okay.
tying in. It sucks that they're not tying in their series the way they are movies, or maybe they're just taking their time to do it. But I really wish they would have connected the series better, even if it was
Yeah.
just two cameos.
Yeah.
that would've
I
been cool.
mean,
That would've been
I
cool.
do think that this will lead into Doctor Strange the same way that Wanda did, but it would be interesting if they could have tied it to Wanda.
Yeah.
As like her
Yeah, like
being a Nexus being and creating a Nexus event. Like that would be
Like,
interesting.
do you think this is taking place before
Yeah.
WandaVision?
Because WandaVision happens a couple weeks after not
Oh,
end
yeah.
was it Endgame or was it
I think
yeah.
it was Endgame.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a couple weeks after Endgame, and then this takes place exactly after he falls through.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So like 2012-ish, right?
Yeah, a couple of years before, yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see. Like, I mean, since it's a couple years before, they still have time to maybe like sneak in, like, we're investigating a Nexus event, and it ends up being Wanda.
That'd be cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
That
I
would be
didn't
cool
think
if
about
it
that.
led into that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
a good way to fold it in.
Yeah.
If she
But-
like ended up being like a huge variant.
Maybe.
Which we already know, like in the comics, that she is a Nexus being, and they pretty much referenced it in
Yeah.
WandaVision. So
Yeah. But back to the episode. So yeah, we kind of get some insight into the female Loki's powers of like how she's able to have broken that agent, because that agent apparently was a big deal. Like they would have never taken her by force or whatever. And then you see the two Lokis encounter each other. Our Loki has his daggers again, and they do a whole fight sequence. And then the judge comes and tries to take down both of them. But our Loki grabs the tempad from the female Loki's pocket and like sends them to the next apocalypse he could think of. But he doesn't know enough about the timeline to know where he had brought them. Do you guys remember the name of the moon where they land?
I think it was Lamentus.
Lamentus. So they end up on this planet where the moon is shattering and like breaking down, and the entire planet dies, and no one escapes. But they appear like right before people are trying to get on a train to what they call is the Ark, which is basically a rocket to like send them to salvation. But while they land, the lady Loki, we find out that she goes by Sylvie and not Loki. She never acknowledged herself as a Loki, even though she had the horns
so that's
and
the
stuff.
thing. Yeah.
So that's why I kind of am with you, Vinny, where it's like, is she a Loki? Like, what exactly happened in her timeline to like cause all this
More
negativity?
importantly, is Thor a girl there?
Yeah, she looks like a Thor. She would have been a Thor.
One of my theories is that she is
the mom Odin, and she has a beard and an eye patch. These are all important questions.
My theory is that she's Mephisto.
Is she like Loki's daughter or something?
Dude, I was thinking that she is so it's kind of a mix, like just like you said in the comics, like they reference enchantment like a lot. So there is a character Enchantress in the comics, but her name is also Sylvie, I think. But Loki gave Enchantress her powers, I think. So, and they're like based off of Loki's powers too. So it's kind of, maybe they're kind of mixing some like those two ideas. But I think, I forgot where I saw this, but in the show, her name is Sylvie Lofty daughter, right? I think, right? Is that?
They didn't say her last name. She just said I
saw
go by
somewhere
Sylvie.
that somewhere says Lofty daughter, but that's already like, it's Laffy's daughter. Like, is that too obvious? Like,
no, I mean, like that's how that culture goes by their names, like Laufey son of Laufey. Like
Okay,
if
but yeah,
she really was the female Loki in her timeline, then it would be Laufey daughter.
yeah, but I think she doesn't like being called Loki because she is kind of well, I guess it's the same as our Loki, where he's kind of the outcast of Thor. But I was thinking that it's the other way around. So she is Thor, and then Loki is the prodigal son to Laufey. So it's kind of reversed. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't catch this originally, but when he was
And the blonde hair.
Yeah, when he was sentenced in the first one, they did call him Laufeyson instead of Odinson. So it, like, in the timeline, they recognized like where he actually came from, and of course by now he knows that he's a frost giant.
They don't believe in foster care in the time they're Muhammad Ali was up there, they'd be like, Cassius Clay.
Stupid.
I thought Loki was gonna do it with Loki, dude. He is.
I know. There's a lot of sexual tension.
It was really weird.
Self-love.
It was really weird.
I really thought they're gonna do it.
It was really weird. Dude.
There's a lot of sexual tension. They talk about at some point. So throughout this whole time trying to get off of Lamentus, he hides the tempad from Sylvie, and she keeps trying to trick him. He keeps trying to trick her, and then throughout the whole thing, you find out that like the tempad lost power. So they go to a train.
She's like, is that a tempad in your pocket?
Gross.
Or are you just happy to see me?
They get to a train that is supposed to take them to where the Ark is, which we mentioned earlier. But it's typical, like they're only letting the rich people in, whatever. So you see parts of our Loki's powers and then Sylvie's powers, where like he dresses himself as a soldier to get her past the first checkpoint, but then she has to use enchantment to get them through the next checkpoint. And during the talk, she talks about like how she uses enchantment, where she basically has to like get into their brains, figure out what makes them work, and create like a different space to like make them like tell the secrets.
She has to physically touch them, and then depending on how strong the mind is, then she has to kind of create a fantasy based off of their memories. I think something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And we see her try to enchant Loki, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like,
I thought they were gonna kiss, dude.
Yeah.
Enchant that dick.
But while they're on the train, we do see them open up to each other a little bit more, kind of like allies through circumstance, because like they need to find out a way to charge the tempad to get off of the planet, because no one survives the planet's destruction. And you find out that like he talks more about Frigga and like how she taught him how to do his powers, and she is self-taught because whoever her mother died when she was young, and then how Loki didn't know he was adopted until he was an adult, and they told her right away. I wonder if she really is, if Sylvie really is a Loki, since they told her right away. Maybe her persona, like guys, changed. Like she made herself look more like Thor to be a sibling instead of like how Loki's darker skinned or darker hair, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
that was a good scene too. I was another showcase of just Tom Hiddleston's acting. I thought like he really gets into the feels, and then he really just reminisces about the mom, and he's just saying like she was a good person, she was purely decent or something like that.
Yeah, someone you want to have believe in you. So like he never wanted to disappoint his mom.
Yeah.
And then what else happened? They didn't trust each other to like fall asleep, but eventually Sylvie does fall asleep, and during that time like Loki's loading up on drinks, which is purely Asgardian. Like that whole scene.
That was a great song. When that was a great song.
Yeah. So he's singing.
He's got a good ass voice. God damn.
Oh yeah. But he's singing in Asgardian, and like he gets the whole room to like sing and dance with him, which I was like, that's interesting. He like got them all, but I guess it's the end of the world, so like they're just doing whatever. But he got them all to sing and dance with him. And And he does the Thor like another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
I wonder if
Sylvie wakes up and she was like, "What are you doing? Like you're out of your guise, like you're wearing your variant shirt, like you're gonna get us busted or whatever." And he does eventually get busted, like someone leaves and brings soldiers and they're like, "No ticket." They try to kick them off the train.
What are you gonna say, Vince?
I was gonna say, I wonder if that when he did the bartender, if you notice, like no one really like panicked her, right? So they and the bartender was already making a drink. So like I was kind of thinking maybe that planet has dealt with Asgardians before, because when Thor did that on Earth, everybody was like so
yeah.
But they were just kind of like, okay, let's just keep it going, like nothing new. So I was just thinking, like, I wonder if maybe other Asgardians have gone there or something, because that seems like an Asgardian custom.
Bartenders are used to dealing with rude people. So
True.
it's just normal.
Very true.
Got another asshole.
Yeah. I will say, before Sylvie fell asleep, when they're talking about their past and stuff, they keep talking about like what love is, and
that was good too.
They found out from someone on Lamentis like how to get to where they need to go.
Loki was like, "What is love but a dagger persevering?" Like, damn, that's deep. Into my stomach.
They got into this discussion because the first person they see where they're trying to figure out like where is an energy source powerful enough to charge the tempad, this lady, like he pretends to be her husband and is like sweet talking her, and she like shoots him basically with their equivalent of a shotgun. It's like a sonic blast. And she was like, I don't understand why she wanted to see her husband when like she hated him or whatever. And she's like, maybe love is hate or whatever. They got into that philosophical discussion. And then afterwards, when she wakes up, Loki's all drunk and he's like, love is a dagger. And he goes through all these like superfluous analogies and stuff.
He's
but
like,
the fight scene.
Like, love is patient, love is kind.
I always knew Loki loved Coulson, so that made sense. He stabbed him and he fucked him from behind, dude.
Gross. I will say that whole thing about the sexual tension between the two of them, they did say like, I'm sure you had like lovers that were female and male, and he was like, cool. I'm a hedonist. So
yeah, they basically, that was like the first MCU Disney thing where they revealed his basically sexuality as bisexual, fluid. Right?
Yeah,
or fluid.
Well, I didn't even notice that. What did he say?
Well, because she was like, I'm sure that you had lovers in Asgard, female, and then she went like ... male, and he was like, there was a little bit of both, I'm assuming, for you as well, like because basically they're like gender fluid and then gender like sexual like fluidity.
Yeah, she was basically saying like, oh, so you're the prince of Asgard, like was there ever a princess for you or a prince?
Yeah.
I knew it. Coulson, Loki, gay lovers confirmed.
But I'm wondering about Sylvie's timeline, because he said like my mother was the queen of Asgard, and she's like, so you were a prince. Like, was Sylvie not in the same circumstance? Like, how different are their timelines from each other? Because Sylvie, like, she just wants to destroy the sacred timeline and destroy the timekeepers. So it's like, what happened exactly in her timeline that makes her so furious? Because she said this plan was years in the making.
That's
to
true.
like destroy
like,
everything.
Real motive? Yeah.
My theory is that where Loki lost like half his people, I think she lost everybody, and that's why she, because you know the timekeepers, they ordained it so everything goes according to them. So maybe that's why she just wants to undo everything.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I seen this meme, and it's basically like the sexual tension between the Loki and Sylvie, and then it was in The Boys when Homelander was trying to do Homelander and he's like in the dress.
Dirty.
One of my questions was leading up to was this when Loki and Sylvie were talking and then he was basically just picking her brain, was that leading up to the train or was that after the train?
You mean when she talked about her powers for the first time?
Yeah.
That was before, because they're trying to figure out how best to get on the train.
Okay. Do you think Loki is being basically like a double agent? Like he has his own agenda, or he is still secretly like working for the TVA,
You know what?
and
I
he's
think
kind of just depicting her brain so that he can eventually do her powers too.
I don't. I think Loki like is presented to be more complex than he actually is. I think he's conflicted. Where the only reason he followed Loki in the first Sylvie in the first place is because he was curious. Because
Yeah.
I felt like he was like, oh, this is a
Oh.
Loki who doesn't have a glorious purpose. Like she's not trying to control everything; she's trying to destroy it. So that's why he followed her. I felt like he was actually on the Timekeeper's side because he didn't have anything better to do than try to manipulate their power. But now that something else has caught his attention, he's gonna follow that instead because he's more curious about why this Loki's different than controlling the TVA, I guess, at this point.
I believe that, yeah, I think that's well put because I think he, even his falling into like wanting to control the TVA is kind of like what, well, I already see what my timeline has for me. What else is there to do? But yeah, I think she confounds him because even when he found out, like, you taught yourself, because Frigga taught him how to do magic, and she apparently taught herself how to do things. And enchantment is
Right,
not an
right.
easy skill to learn. So
Yeah. Do you think he's gonna be able to do that enchantment?
I don't know because
He's
it's
gonna be like, once you accept that into your heart, he's gonna touch him with his
I feel like
the Mind Stone, dude. It's basically what Sylvie is.
yeah, but I feel like you see
Ooh,
more
speaking of
of
stones.
Loki's powers because in that fight scene when they're trying to get kicked off of, or
Oh,
they're trying not to get
wicked
kicked
ass
off the
fight scene,
train.
dude.
Yeah, you see like Sylvie has kind of like an Asgardian looking sword, and then Loki has his daggers and stuff, but he's kind of drunk, so he keeps like effing up. But you also see him throwing like energy blasts.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
He was
was
showing. He was
surprised
throwing.
about that.
He was throwing Johnny Cage fireballs.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just throwing him like uppercuts. Dude,
Like-
that whole fight scene, like I was like, wait, they're out of the TVA, so they can obviously use their powers, but
Yeah.
like he's a god, right? So like, why is he losing to these people?
I thought
He
he
is
was. He was pretty nerfed in that fight, and I thought when they threw him
Yeah.
out of the train, I thought that was gonna be like an
Oh,
illusion.
projection.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be an
He
illusion
really
too.
got thrown off a train. Come on now.
I was like,
He was-
That's why
he
yeah.
was
He was giving the
intoxicated.
Avengers a run for their money.
I feel
Dude,
like
that-
I
mhm.
feel like that whole scene was very Asgardian though, because like he got so drunk that he couldn't defend himself properly. I guess that's the
I
only
thought it was.
logical way.
I thought
to
it was
nerf
a. I thought it was a John Walker nerf, dude. Or so,
Oh,
or-
okay.
like, it didn't
But
make any sense.
I mean, even
Yeah.
though he's a god, like he has like I don't know if he's as strong as Thor because he is a frost giant, so he has some strength compared to like a regular mortal.
No, he's up there. Because remember when he attacked Shield in the first Avengers movie? He was bulletproof.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. You're
He just
right.
bodied like all those agents, which is basically who he was fighting with in the train.
You're
I guess
right.
he was
Yeah.
drunk, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
Okay.
was just
Well, I mean,
quite convenient.
who's in the future?
Oh, also, like, does it? I remember, in Ultron, Thor had like his own little cocktail, right? That he drank, and he was saying
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's hella
Oh,
strong.
to get him drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, so are Asgardians as susceptible to get drunk? Like, they have to kind of drink their own little.
Well, even after that, Thor wasn't messed up. Just the human. Just Stan Lee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. It was just convenient for the plot for him to get thrown out and get beat up.
Yeah.
I think it was plot convenience, but I
Okay.
guess you can suspend your disbelief because it was way in the future and maybe it's stronger as a different planet, so maybe it's different. I don't know.
Mm.
But yeah, so he gets thrown off the train, and since he has a temp pad, Sylvie jumps off the train because she's like, "Ah, hell, like that's my only way out." And when they land, I forget how she gets him to take out the temp pad, but you find out that it's busted and they're both screwed.
Which is bullshit because so your magic just puts it in your pocket? The fuck is that? Shouldn't it be in another dimension?
I thought it was
How's it
another
gonna-
dimension.
How is it gonna
at
get
first-
messed up?
At first, I was wondering if like him getting thrown out was an illusion, or like if the temp pad being messed up was an illusion.
I thought that was
Because
an illusion. At
I was
Yeah,
first.
I
like,
thought it was an
that
illusion.
he just put it elsewhere, you know?
Yeah. I thought it was an illusion too. Which
Oh,
can it still be? Because like,
No, because they really went full. They were trying to get off that planet like hardcore.
Yeah.
okay.
he looked
okay.
desperate. But just a quick callback when they're talking about like what love is and stuff like that. I like that he like out of his dimension got a quill. I was like, I'll write that down. It's just
Oh,
being-
he also mentioned like she was like, where's the temp pad? And then he's like, it's in my heart. But like,
yeah.
do you think he's actually being true?
I don't
like-
know. I don't know if that was
His heart
just
is
him being
broken.
coy.
He just does this and then puts it in his ass.
Ew. Gross.
He got messed up in Magic Land. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Come on.
True. Yeah.
But we find out Sylvie says that he ruined years of planning. So she had been plotting to take down the TVA for like a really long time. And I was like, how,
Yeah.
as a variant, like, I mean, I get that she's hiding in apocalypses, but how did she get the drop on a team in the first place to have stolen a tempad to be able to make those jump sequences or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And also too, when she went into the TVA, she tried to use it. That's got to be the first time that she was in there.
I think
So
so.
out of all
First time
her
she made it.
planning, like this is the first time she actually went into the TVA because she tried to use her powers, and
Yeah, she
then
did, yeah.
she realized that it didn't work, and that I felt like that was a real reaction of surprise where she thought that she could use it. So I think that was her first time.
Yeah. I think that's the closest she ever got to the
Yeah.
judge or to anyone
Well, she
high
wasn't
enough.
going to go up in there unless she knew that it led to the
enough recon or something.
Yeah.
Oh, also too, after the whole thing of them being launched out of the train and stuff like that, they kind of talk to each other about the TVA, right? And then Sylvie reveals basically, she reveals that everybody in the TVA, they're all variants, which wasn't that one of our theories? Didn't we talk about that?
Oh, did you? I don't remember you guys saying that.
I think you might have said it briefly, Vinny.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think the talk about their powers actually did happen after they got kicked off, not before, because she was talking about like, I got into the agent's mind by like, she really likes margaritas or something. He's like, margaritas? Like, where were you? And she's like, her life before the TVA. He was like, what life? Because Miss Minutes said, and even Agent Mobius had said, like the timekeepers create the agents in order to protect the timeline. Like they had no other purpose, no other existence before being there. And then Sylvie is like, no, that's BS, because like I went into her mind and everything. Like they are variants just like us, but somehow, because she said like that agent's mind is cloudy and messed up, and like she doesn't remember who she was originally. And that
makes me question, like when they go to fix the timeline, how, if they stay there, does it just redline too?
What do you mean?
Because since they're all variants in the TVA, if they just go to a timeline and stay there, since they're variants, like wouldn't
is that its own timeline?
Yeah, wouldn't that make the branch start to rise even if there is no variant there?
But the agents never stay in one place, right? They live in the TVA, so they go to prune a branch and then they come back immediately.
I'm just saying, like, have they ever gone to a timeline where they weren't chasing a variant and then just saw that there was a branch rising because they're variants and they're in a timeline where they don't belong?
I feel like maybe whatever agents become part of the TVA and the timekeepers do their mojo and block their memories, I think whatever branch they came from, they just prune all existence or evidence of them existing there. And then that way it like
still variants.
Goes back.
Maybe like you said, man, maybe they are creating multiple and then they just keep erasing them, and then they like maybe this has happened a bunch of times. Yeah
they do the reset charge, so it prunes it anyway, so any evidence of them being there is gone anyway,
which also kind of goes into the whole duplicate Mobius theory, that there's a bunch of them, because if he is also a variant, then they've wiped out his mind. And then also I think that he came from the 90s. That's why he's so into
the jet skis.
All that stuff.
I was thinking
like,
that
there's
too.
the jet ski. He likes this one energy drink, I think that was only from the 90s.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Right.
There was
he came straight off of Shanghai Nights too. Or Shanghai Nights, Shanghai Noon, and then Shanghai Nights.
I think they said, so the whole thing with the jet skis was in episode 2, there's a magazine that Loki was looking at, and he's like, why do you even have this? Like, there's no jet skis here. Have you ever ridden one before? He's like, no, but it was like the perfect combination of function and form or something like that. He was so in love with the jet skis. And he said that's what he fights for, because like, if basically everything that he does to protect the timeline allows other people to exist and like enjoy things like the jet ski or something like that. So he said that he was created, he served the TVA the whole time, and while they're protecting the timeline, the timekeepers are working on like the next level or something.
They're writing the future.
They're writing the future, yeah. So like as they're protecting the current or like whatever the timeline is now, they're figuring out how to unweave all of the threads to make it into one straight line. And he said like, and once that's done, we'll just stop existing. Like I just work for the good of the TVA or whatever. But it goes back to episode 1 where he was like, time moves differently here. So his brain is also clouded. So I wonder if, to your theory, like if there were different Mobiuses that started to remember and wanted to break off, like did they just prune him or did they mind wipe him again? Because like all those rings on the thing, like it could be the same Mobius, just continuously mind wiped.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
It's Mobi.
They're basically
Mobi.
they're basically just doing, if that's true, if it's the same one, then it's kind of like Winter Soldier, right? Like it's the same dude, but then they just keep mind sweeping him basically.
Yeah. Minesweepers. But yeah, so eventually they make it to the city with the Ark, and it's chaos because like there's meteors raining down from the moon that's breaking apart, and then there's people hunting them down because they don't belong. I guess they encountered some people that were like peacekeepers or some kind of police. And you see like a ton of Loki's powers, like he throws more energy bolts that he did on the train, but also like there's a thing falling. He's like, I got it, and he like throws it like.
So that that part was very surprising. He just like he goes like that.
Yeah.
But
he's got that neck telekinesis.
Necknesis.
So for one, I really like that scene because it was in one shot, if you notice. So like that was hella cool. But also I saw online a theory where maybe Loki took an Infinity Stone like while he was in the TV.
Oh, that's genius. Why didn't he do that? Why did they do that?
Yeah,
I take that when they go places. That would just work like so much better.
Yeah,
they could have caught Loki with a time stone if they did.
It was a time stone. The theory is that he took the time stone. So he stopped time like
that'd be cool.
Falling on it. Yeah.
That'd be smart.
Could have just froze time and got to the ship though.
Dude, yeah, I like if I was Loki, I would have taken all the stones, you know?
Yeah.
But then I mean you would need a gauntlet to wield
or it does take your energy to use them, to do anything with the snap or anything. But yeah, so I mean it's still the apocalypse. Anything you do is not going to work, but they said like, oh, we're too Loki, maybe we can make it work and force it. But they get very close to the Ark, and then all of a sudden like a huge meteor strikes it, and that's why no one had ever survived, because their one mode of transportation to survive was destroyed, and that's kind of where the episode ends.
That was crazy because
War Machine comes out and it's like, boom, you looking for this? Damn, this is crazy.
And you can see that like on their expressions, like all their hopes of actually leaving is doomed. And like Loki is still, he's like in shock. He's looking at the ship, and then Sylvie is just like, fuck this. She just like walked away. She was just like, all right, we're done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys think they're gonna get off there?
How?
I feel like Mobius might catch up to them. Like how else other than someone else with a tempad?
I mean, I guess he's just gonna narrow it down to a random ass like apocalypse.
I guess.
We'll see how that works.
Maybe.
But it's either that or Loki was lying about the tempad being broken, but then that would break their truce. Because going
Also,
into the city
won't make any sense.
Yeah, going into the city, they were like, "Can I trust you?" Is like, yeah, you can trust me, and like they have that tentative understanding to get off together.
Time stone. If that theory is true, maybe he
rewinds it to
time.
Fix it. Yeah.
Could
all those soul stones though. Nat's like,
yeah. So that
maybe it was lying about the 10 pad, and the reason they went to the ship is because he was going to secretly power it while she was trying to make the ship take off, so that that would be his distraction, and then he could get away without her.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, exactly. Like, so what if the whole thing, all the scenes with him and Sylvie, what if that was just the projection? Because you know how
he can break off.
Yeah. So maybe he was actually charging it.
Yeah.
But like, so I always think that he always is up to something.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
When they're talking about their powers, early on when when Agent Mobius is talking about the different Lokis and stuff, he did say that it's not astral projection. He's like making a perfect duplicate of himself that exists separate from the original Loki.
Right. Maybe at some point, this would be pretty reaching though, but like when she's explaining how she does her powers and stuff with enchantment, maybe he somehow figured that out and then used it on her. So everything that we saw was her memory or her fantasy while he's doing
So they're still just on the
something
train.
else. Maybe. Like
I mean,
like Inception.
She did
like,
fall asleep, and she said she didn't trust him enough to fall asleep, so he could have
Yeah.
turned it against her. Maybe, I don't know, because that did strike me as weird when he like is singing and stuff. It was a cool scene, but then like it kind of looked like he was controlling them, because like they all did the boisterous singing when he got boisterous, and then they all quieted down when he did like the soft singing
or
part.
maybe it's her controlling him, and this is his.
Oh yeah.
Because maybe he fell asleep and then she controlled him.
Yeah. Because she tried to and it wasn't successful, but maybe she eventually like broke his mind and was able to enchant that. Yeah, those are all good stuff. Maybe
we will see. Still no mid-credit or end credit scenes.
Do you guys
halfway
think,
through already?
Yeah,
I know, dude, already halfway through. Who do you guys think you know how Sylvie was talking about, oh, like I have someone, we have a
I thought she was joking.
Postman. Yeah, like I was about to ask, like, do you think that was she's just saying that, or like who do you think is her love interest?
I don't even know. A postman? I thought she was being genuine, and it was just funny because it was true.
Oh, I thought she was totally joking.
There was hella like theories, but I don't see how this would work at all. But maybe people are just kind of poking fun at the all of it. But the postman thing, if you remember Stan Lee, his cameo, he was a postman.
He's had all kinds of cameos.
Yeah. So people are saying like maybe that's the postman that she's in love with.
Tony Stank.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you think that the judge is also being manipulated, or because she's so close to the timekeepers and interacts with them or like has messages from them, is she kind of like the Oz, like, you know, the man behind the curtain?
I think that might be it. I think she's keeping the illusion.
Yeah,
because she's the only one in the TVA who has contact, and she can just lie if she wants. No one would know the difference. Do you guys think that we're actually going to see the timekeepers in this series?
No.
Yes. Actually, no. I think pretty much what you guys are just saying. So she is the Oz. So she is I think the timekeeper is really, it's just Kang, but like she is the only contact to him, and Kang is kind of letting her control this whole thing. And I think there's a theory too that all this is taking place in the quantum realm right now. So the kind of the common phrase anytime people talk about the quantum realm is like time works differently in the quantum realm, right? So like they reference that in Ant-Man. They talked about that in Endgame. They talked about that also in Loki, like in the first episode. They
time
say
works
like
differently in the TVA.
Yeah, and in Constantine, maybe they're in hell.
Mephisto, dude.
Full circle.
But there was it's like a really short like you have to like pause the movie, but in Ant-Man and the Wasp, while they're in the quantum realm, you can see this little city in there.
Oh shit.
So
crazy.
people are theorizing that the city is the TVA.
Oh man, too good.
Pocket dimension.
Yeah, so that's and basically the whole thing is just run by Kang.
And interesting. I mean, like we said, there's different agents working different cases supposedly. Mobius references like the Nightmare Department or whatever. But we never really see other agents. It's only soldiers, and it seems like he goes way back with the judge, where like she used to be a regular foot soldier before she like got promoted or whatever. Like she even took the prune stick when she had to try to locate Sylvie within the TVA. So it's like, how far back does he really go, or do they just manipulate him to use him as a pawn? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
I hope Owen Wilson's king. That would be a super twist. She's just like, I'm king. Acha cha cha.
Wow, wow.
Call that one my Kung Pao chicken.
You almost
He's like in
had
full
me.
garb, purple mask, purple face, and he's just like, I'm king. Hilarious, dude.
Ridiculous.
I
So-
feel like he's pretty pivotal in terms of like he might be the key to why there's like he's a specific variant, like he's a really important one, I feel like, that we just don't know yet.
So do you think that this will tie more into Doctor Strange like Wanda did, or do you think it'll tie into Ant-Man and the Wasp? Because they started filming 4, I think.
I don't think it's gonna tie into anything, honestly.
You know,
The
I
way
feel
these-
like it's gonna
the way
go
these shows
into
have been
Ant-Man.
going. The way these shows have been going, they haven't really been tying them into anything.
Other
Kinda
than Wanda,
standalone.
the post-credit, that's the only thing. Because
Yeah.
it had the Doctor Strange music when it was panning over
Yeah, but
the
that was like almost Easter eggish. It wasn't. I mean, I'm talking about
Yeah.
like strong thematic ties where it's like specific, it's explicitly ties into it.
I feel like it will. I
feel
think
like-
it's gonna go into Ant-Man, if anything.
I feel like it's setting the groundwork that Ant-Man's gonna build off of, but I don't think it's gonna tie into it, like have any of
Oh.
the characters or like
Okay.
reference it in any way. I feel like
Okay.
it's gonna be like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's different ways they can go. Like I said, they can reference Wanda as a Nexus event because this is in the past, or they can go to Ant-Man. So it'll be interesting.
You just see Shang-Chi walking around the TVA. It's like, what's up? Hey guys. That's a tie-in.
I'm excited. I still don't really watch any kinds of previews or anything for Loki. I still watch it on Fridays, even though it comes out on Wednesday.
Dude,
It
this
just
is
feels
this is
normal.
one of the few
Yeah.
shows that I'm watching on like near premiere. Like the first two, I
Nice.
think. First two I caught late. No, the first one I caught late, and then the second and third I watched on Wednesdays.
There was a lot of exposition. I was surprised how easily they opened up to each other, but I guess like who else can know your life other than you, maybe? So that's why
do
they're
you
like
guys
kind of
think what do you guys think happened to Sylvie's mom? Because she said
died
that
early.
she's basically just that's it. Like, you don't think it's anything
Well, because he said
deeper than that?
he
or-
said like, oh, my mom like taught me, nurtured me. And he was like, what about your mother? What was she like? And she was like, I never knew my mom. And I
Yeah.
think she said that she died early, or maybe she just alluded to that. I don't know. I don't remember.
Mm. I have a feeling that she will play a big part too, like in her upbringing, but in a bad way. Like, I
Mm.
think maybe Odin is like it's a different dynamic though, but I feel like she's gonna be kind of the Odin to her. Like maybe she's dead to me, but she's like alive kind of thing. But like the upbringing where she just
Not as nurturing.
yeah.
I feel like this
Whosoever, she has a patch.
I felt like this episode was supposed to be like character driven, but we didn't really learn much about the other Loki.
We just
Sylvie.
learned about her powers. You learn more
That's-
about our Loki
Yeah.
than her.
Wish we could have seen something more into her background. Maybe that's coming, but I felt like this
Yeah.
episode like it's kind of just a placeholder.
She never acknowledges herself as a Loki. She kept saying, "Don't call me Loki.
Yeah,
I'm
she
not
never
like
did.
you. It's not everything's about you." Even though she wears
Yeah.
the I like in the fight scene, she took off her gauntlet or her thing and was stabbing people with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she had the Loki horns and the color scheme for her outfit, but she never said she was a Loki. So
There is a Loki version in the comics that has the same horns, where it's only one and then the other one is broken. So I don't know if that will also be part of her backstory, like how
She filed it off like
how it
Hellboy.
would-
I was gonna say, I was like, is she red? I was drinking water. Beat me to it.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they explain that.
I can't remember any like all the details of the female Loki, Lady Loki, but I thought that he had something with like Sif, like Loki took over Sif's body or
Oh,
something.
that I think that's what it was. So like they were supposed, I could be wrong in this, but it had something to do with Sif, and like they were trying to recreate her or something like that, and then somehow Loki went into her body and then became the Lady Loki.
Yeah.
Which is different than Enchantress, but she
Yeah.
got from Loki,
Yeah.
something like that.
Something weird
Luck
like
be a Loki tonight.
that.
Ba, ba, ba.
So yeah, I don't know what it will bring. I feel like the next episode will open with Mobius and handling the timeline.
He's just on a jet ski. Like, yeah, this is awesome.
I feel like we won't see the Lokis until mid to late episode. They have to go into how they're handling everything else, like the judge and Mobius and stuff.
I don't know.
I did watch the trailer for the next episode. I don't know if you guys watched that.
Oh yeah,
but,
let's hear it.
Huh? Okay.
Let's hear it.
So
Yeah.
there is a scene where Sylvie is in the TVA, but she's like captive. I don't know how they get her. And she also has the neck thing. So she's
inhibitor,
the snap bracelet.
Yeah. So
Where do you watch the previews? Because they don't. I'm surprised they don't have it after episodes. Where do you watch? You just on YouTube?
just on YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think
So
maybe
I don't know
if you
if
go into the series details, they might have trailers too on Disney Plus.
So maybe Mobius does catch up with them somehow on Lamentis, or Loki somehow plays a trick and he actually has a temp pad and then he turns her in. Like maybe
that is his ultimate goal, to get in good with the TVA so he can't get to the timekeepers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's kind of winging it.
He's definitely still self-serving. He said, like, I'm a hedonist, and she was like, no, I'm a hedonist, but I never lose sight of my mission. Maybe he never lost sight of his mission and he's just playing her.
That's what that was my impression when he was really asking her questions on how she uses her powers. I was like, okay, so he's really trying to manipulate her like he usually does. Like he's just a talker, and he has his own mission, his own agenda, and it's still to kind of help the TVA. But I also think he's playing them too. So in a way, he just has his own personal agenda.
Yeah,
like he'll play both sides to get them on his side so that he can rule the TVA or whatever.
Do you think the show will ever go into whether or not, because that whole fan theory of Loki was being manipulated by Thanos the whole time? Like, because his eyes were a different color, so they said that he was captive by the Mind Stone. That's like a running fan theory from the movies. That like his attack on New York was not his, it wasn't him driving the whole thing. It was like also kind of Thanos.
No, I don't think that at all.
Okay.
I don't know. I know that there was a theory that Loki didn't die at the hands of Thanos in Infinity War, or is that Endgame?
It was,
he definitely died.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think so too. But there's people saying that he didn't actually die.
I mean, it was at the end of his film reel. Like nothing after that happened. So
that's true. Well, that does it for this episode of the Maganda Forever podcast. I'm Vince.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Monica.
Stay tuned for the next episode.
I'm not Wakandan, but my bionic arm enhanced. Just say the words, I'm activated like a Nazi trance. Catch vibranium to your cranium, wanna glance. Full body cast from a Cyclops optic blast. I doubt you crews prepared for this hit. Catch a glimpse of who I'm with, have you scared of the clip? No heart-shaped herbs or any terrigen myths. I'm taking out your ankles on some anti-carrion shit.